Outer Wilds, a game about exploration and puzzle solving. But could you play the same game without exploring at all? Just following the rumors and what the people tell you to do. Last week I tried to stream that, and no, it's not even freaking close to possible. It's so far from possible that I wish I could find a joke here in the moment, but I can't. But okay. Now, so everybody wanted to know that. Well, that was it, I guess. Now, for those who are interested in seeing what went wrong or why it's not possible, what the roadblocks are, etc., then I do invite you to continue watching the video. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Let me also, of course, preface this little investigation by saying that before I tried this, I actually didn't know if it was possible or not to complete this. So I went in completely blind, thinking that it was actually possible. Maybe that the vessel or some other niche location, like the Quantum Moon, for example, might be the roadblock, because I don't think there's anyone in the game that actually tells you to go there. But I think, or at least I thought, that it would be possible to get a very large portion of the game to be completed without doing any actual exploration, with just following the rumors, telling you where it goes, or following what people say. For example, the other travelers, they tell you, go explore there, and then see what happens. Now, to start this, of course, we talk to everybody in the village, and after you have talked to everybody, this is the information you have. So, of course, you have the information of the village itself. They tell you about Esker and the lunar outpost, and they tell you about Gabro. The problem with going to Gabro, though, is that you have no way of knowing how you would get there, because you don't have any information as to the fact that he's playing an instrument the whole time. So it leaves us with the only option to only go to Esker, which is, of course, the very next step. Now, after getting to Esker, he, of course, tells us about the signal scope and the other instruments that travelers are playing, which then allows us to go to Gabro. Now, aside from Gabro, there are still two things we have yet to discover that we can discover now, after talking to Esker. The first being the eye signal locator, which is also on the Atl Rock, that we learn about, of course, in the museum. And the second being, after we talked to Esker, he tells us that there's a harmonica sound from Feldspar, seemingly, coming from Timber Hearth, which is something that we can then, of course, also take a look at, because it's not exploring when Esker asks us to check it out, in a certain sense, because it's strange. There we then, of course, find Tektite, who tells us to shoot our scout into the bramble seed, and then after that we have an important distinction to make about what exploration actually means. During the stream, for example, we debated the fact that just following your scout could be a form of not exploring, because you're not doing anything new, you're just following something you already shot in that place to begin with, which would allow us to find Feldspar. Now, eventually we decided against it, because it's just too much of a stretch to not call that exploring. You're going into a new place that nobody asked you to do, that you have no prior knowledge about, just on a hunch that there might be something interesting, right? So we didn't do that. Now, aside from that, we also made a distinction, which at the time we found it to be very funny, of course, between two things. Where exploration would be just going somewhere willy-nilly just because you thought it was interesting, because it's a potential point of interest, like on a whim. Looking around would be a place that somebody told you about, or somebody gave a hint about, or following in the rumor mode, that you then, of course, have a little look around in, which is, in a certain sense, also exploration, but we thought that was fine because they told you to go there and were at least following the rumor. It's not like we went there on a whim, as we said earlier. Now, after pondering about that for a while, we of course go to Gabro, and he tells us about the Statue Island, where we of course encounter the first iteration of that distinction, because he tells us to go to Statue Island and look around, of course, opposed to actually exploring in the broader sense of the term that we established earlier. Then, of course, we find the inside of the island and everything that entails. Now, after talking to Gabro and finding the Statue Island, there's really not much that it continues to aside from the Ashwin project itself. So we had to go through another route, and that led us to Rybek because he has a note, a voice note, situated in the eye signal locator, which we already found on the Atl Rock. And since we know his signal and we know he exists through the rumor map, we can check his camp out. Now, there, of course, he tells us about the Hanging City, and then we encounter the second iteration of our problem, and it's becoming increasingly more obvious that we are actually, in fact, exploring, and this looking around thing is really just a way to scoot around the rules of the challenge, right? Because we're going there, then you arrive there, okay, can we now look around and check the whole Hanging City? Because it gives us a lot of information about all the rest. But is that exploring or is that looking around? Now, we decided that it was okay to just go around and pick up the scrolls and put them in the walls, but no more than that. That would be too far. Now, after exploring the Hanging City, or at least reading the scrolls on the walls there's nothing left to explore. It doesn't connect to anything. There's nothing where you could reasonably say that, okay, we can follow the line here, somebody asked us to do that, and then go to the next place. Like, it's not even in Know My Notes or anything. It's literally, that's the end. So then, at that point, we were like, okay, if we bend the rules, let's say we go to Feldspar, let's say we do explore the Hanging City, let's say this, let's say that, and even then, the maximum amount of things we could discover was this. So we had most of the stuff on Brittle Hollow, we had some of the probe stuff through Feldspar's knowledge and Gabro's knowledge combined. We had a little bit of the Ashwin project things combined, but that was really it, to be honest. From that point on, there was really nothing left. And after doing even a little bit more, the only thing left to do was go look to the anglerfish cave and the vessel, both of which are completely unfindable unless you do like a whole planet search, which is, at that point, are you really following rumors or are you just freaking exploring? So that was kind of it, which I thought, or I really hoped that it could have been more interesting than that, could have been, or that I found something new, you know. But this was not that kind of story. This was, I mean, you could call it a failure. I would call it a search of knowledge that left nothing to learn. But yeah, that was kind of it. So thanks for watching, of course, and if you enjoyed this type of content, this is the first of this type of video that I've made, but I have other different videos on the channel, of course, of me playing through the game, for example, me playing the DLC, and I hope to see you on the next adventure. See you then. Goodbye.